1960s, the post-war boom. The 1960s marked a golden era for global economic growth. The United States dominated, producing over 40% of the world's GDP, fueled by post-war industrial expansion and a booming consumer market. Meanwhile, Japan began its meteoric rise, becoming the world's second-largest economy by the decade's end, thanks to rapid industrialization. In Europe, Germany experienced its economic miracle, rebuilding its economy to become the continent's strongest, alongside France and Italy, which thrived on industrial and export growth. This decade set the foundation for the modern global economy. In the 1970s, the global economy was shaken by the oil crisis, catapulting Saudi Arabia and other oil-rich nations into economic prominence as energy prices skyrocketed. Meanwhile, Japan continued its industrial rise, solidifying its position as the second-largest economy, and China began laying the groundwork for its economic transformation under Deng Xiaoping's reforms, setting the stage for future dominance. The 1980s were marked by Japan's economic peak, challenging the US as a global powerhouse with its booming tech and automotive industries. Meanwhile, China and India began implementing economic reforms that laid the groundwork for their future growth. Brazil emerged as South America's largest economy, while South Korea rapidly industrialized, joining the ranks of major global players. At the same time, the Soviet Union's inefficiencies began to strain its massive economy. In the 1990s, the world saw rapid globalization and major economic shifts. The United States cemented its position as a global financial and tech leader, fueled by the rise of Silicon Valley. Meanwhile, China entered a phase of explosive GDP growth, driven by trade and industrialization. Post-Soviet Russia faced economic turmoil but began recovery through energy exports. South Korea emerged as a major player in tech and automotive industries, while India laid the groundwork for its IT boom, setting the stage for its future growth. This decade reshaped the global economic landscape. In the 2000s, the global economy saw a dramatic shift with the rise of the BRICS nations: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. China surged ahead, overtaking Germany in 2007 and Japan in 2010 to become the second-largest economy globally, thanks to its manufacturing and export boom. India experienced rapid growth, driven by its IT and services sector. Meanwhile, Brazil and Russia capitalized on high commodity prices to strengthen their economies. The US remained dominant, but the 2008 financial crisis reshaped global economic power, accelerating the rise of emerging markets. The 2010s saw China solidify its position as the world's second-largest economy, driven by manufacturing, exports, and a growing middle class. India climbed the ranks, overtaking both France and the UK to become the fifth-largest economy by 2019, thanks to its booming tech and service industries. Meanwhile, the United States maintained dominance, leading the global tech revolution with giants like Apple and Amazon, while Germany and Japan held strong, but faced challenges from aging populations. This decade highlighted the rise of emerging markets and the growing competition between economic superpowers. In the 2020s, the US and China dominate global GDP, with China narrowing the gap. India rises as a powerhouse, while Indonesia and Vietnam gain momentum. Germany and Japan face slower growth due to aging populations.